Time travel back to 1769, just 1 year before our time.
We hope that's all right.
Thought it'd be boring if all we had was melodies, so we'll do it in the form of a rhyme. Now you already know why we're here and what we're doing, talking about the Revolutionary War. Let's break it down and go over what the Americans did with the British knocking at their door. At the time it was good in the colonies, everyone felt lively and free. There were some problems underneath once you scratch away the surface, and we're hoping that you can't see. It just went tax after tax after tax after tax, and they never let us catch our breath. Because even though we had more of a disposable income, it's like the tax makers were on meth. They wouldn't let up, and day after day we slipped away to their commands. And even when we wanted to buy basic goods, it had to be stamped with the British brand. The people had enough, so they took it to the brass, but they didn't care to listen. But little did they know, even though it's coming slow, in their own mouths they were pissing. So night after night the people took to the streets and publicly displayed their demands. Walked up and down the town and they made quite a sound while they were all standing hand in hand, all because it was patriotic. When I walk into the room it goes boom and the British zoom zoom. Patriotic. Fighting on the streets and the farms and we're arm in arm. Patriotic. Jumping tea into the harbor with my barber and we're dressed as a patriotic. The foundation of a nation causing a whole world sensation. Patriotic. The Americans had enough, the British weren't up to snuff, so they made a plan to break away. Because try as they might to remedy their situation, the bad outweighed reasons to stay. Patriots, loyalists, and fence-sitters all sharing one common roof, because it was decided in the prequel that every man was equal, so not one of them could be aloof. Fighting began and each side stood tall, taking losses left and right. Hope was slipping and the colonial jumbo saw that the ranks were way too tight. A new strategy was made and deployed in the field, they called it guerrilla warfare. Sure, it broke the rules, but after all, this was war, so the Americans didn't care. The tide started to turn as the British soon learned the Americans were hard to match. They knew the lay of the land and where to make a stand. Yeah, their forces were hard to catch. They were patriotic. Hiding in the trees, but can see that they're gonna pay a hefty fee. Patriotic. Packing powder, bring the power. Victory is closer by the hour. Patriotic. We've taken it long enough. Revolution is our only solution. Patriotic. No matter what the cost, this war cannot be lost. Patriotic. Now, men.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for you.
What?
Do you want to be free?
Yeah.
You gotta fight, fight,
Fight, fight.
fight for your rights, don't you see?
Get out there and paint the grass red.
All the way to England and get King George's head.
Wait, we don't want to kill him.
Who invited this guy?
In my opinion, he's kind of alright. Never gonna back down, not even once. All because we are patriotic. Freedom's here, have no fear, the time is here. Patriotic. The final hour, we won't stand as tall as a tower. Patriotic. We're gonna do it, look at us. The British really blew it. Patriotic. An inspiration to nations all across the world. Patriotic. 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 P-A-T-O-R-T-S-C. Patriotic.
For much of the 1760s and early 1770s, the British Empire had continuously tightened its grip, both economically and politically, around the American colonies. Formerly, redcoats and Yankees alike had fought together as kinsmen in the French and Indian War, securing colonial safety from a foreign tyrant. In the years following, however, the Americans soon felt besieged by a new tyrant as the British crown was passed to King George II's grandson. The Stamp Act of 65, the Declaratory Act of 66, the Townshend Act of 67, blood slowly boiled and knuckles gradually turned white as the years passed. The Boston Massacre of 1770, the Tea Party of 73, all hope for a peaceful resolution seemed abandoned until one morning in October of 1774. Whereas the British Parliament, claiming a power of right to bind the people of America, imposing rates and duties payable in these colonies, establishing a board of commissioners with unconstitutional powers, and extending the jurisdiction of courts of admiralty not only for collecting the said duties, but for the trial of causes merely arising within the body of a county. And whereas assemblies have been frequently dissolved contrary to the rights of the people, when they attempted to deliberate on grievances and their dutiful, humble, loyal, and reasonable petitions to the crown for redress have been repeatedly treated with contempt by His Majesty's ministers of state. To these grievous action measures, Americans cannot submit, but they hope that their fellow subjects in Great Britain will, on a revision of them, restore us to that state in which both countries found happiness and prosperity. It was a document which represented decades of colonial frustration. A document which seemingly symbolized America's last effort to avoid all-out military conflict. A document which King George III promptly disregarded. Its name? The Declaration of Rights and Grievances, signed the First Continental Congress.
We know you helped us fight for 7 years to win the war against the French and moved us into our newfound homes, then helped us kill the savages. But now you try and test our patience. You proclaimed the line of 63, and now you've gone too far and there's no going back. To tell you, let us represent, set taxes for our citizens, stop acting like you own our colonies, and we deserve to be beside you, not as the homes that lodge your troops, but as an English colony filled with all we want is peace, but you won't seem to listen to our quandaries. You'd rather fight than listen to our problems, and that's okay with me. Now you turn to acts of cruelty, Admiralty courts plague us all. We offered you an olive branch, but you missed the chance. Quandaries, you'd rather fight than listen to our problems, and that's okay with me.
The die is now cast. The colonies must either submit or triumph. We must not retreat. The British ruler proudly announced this to his troops after reading their declaration. The colonies had honorably tried to resolve their issues peaceably with the motherland, yet the motherland refused to hear their pleas. At this juncture, in the heart of the 1770s, support for independence began to spread like a haunting wildfire. Under Samuel Adams, committees of correspondence covertly began to gather. The Sons of Liberty, comprised of many future founding fathers, openly protested every tax from the British Crown. Autonomy, once a foreign, dangerous concept, now stood like an open door on the Atlantic seaboard. All it took was a unified step. After shots were fired at Lexington and Concord, many felt it was time to speak the unspoken. Thomas Paine's 1775 novel, Common Sense, served as the mouthpiece for those who felt it was time for an uprising. Men should not petition for rights, but take them. If there must be trouble, let it be, that my child may have peace. Paine's words resonated deeply in the hearts of thousands, not only on the American continent, but across Europe. As the king himself had said, the colonies had a choice to make, to bow or to fight, and they had bowed for too long. The Americans wanted war, and the world was watching.
Britain and the king, they think we're nothing. Are we nothing? No. Britain and the king, they think they got us. Do they got us? No. Even though we ain't got ships or practice, we're a union just by saying so. And the world will know. What's it gonna take to stop the cannons? Can we do it? Yeah. What's it gonna take to stop the redcoats? Are we ready? Yeah. We'll do what we gotta do until we break the word of mighty George III. And the world will know, and the Hessians too. Marty Marsh, boy, have we got news for you. See, the Brits don't know, but it's them who'll pay. Instead of taking orders, we'll be making them today. And our ranks will grow, and they'll run in fear. And the world will know that we live here. When the British musket balls start singing, will we fear them? No! What if they murder all your friends and your family? Will we fear them?
Possibly. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, you're right. When you got 100 field drums ringing, you can hear the British piccolo. And the world will know that this ain't no game, 'cause we got a ton of stolen guns and better aim. So they gave us goods like their precious tea. Now they're gonna see what revolution really means. And we'll take the leap, and the king will weep. Now we'll build this stage.
What'd you do?
Oh, you dropped your pick. Oh, I got
one right
I
here.
got them.
Don't you even worry. Okay. Wait.
Oh, shoot.
Is that
Oh,
one?
I got it. Here we go.
Okay.
Sorry, go. Okay. I think we're ready. Okay,
Triangle
we
trade,
can go on
right?
now. Action.
Okay, I got it, guys.
George III may own the world, but he won't own us. George III may crack the whip, but he won't whip us. And the world will know. We own these shores. 'Cause they wouldn't give us rights, so we gave them a war. Down too long. And the things we do today will be our history. Cannons blast, those there steadfast, and the world will rise. Growing so the world will feel the fire. Woo!
The redcoats and colonists fought tirelessly for 8 long years. With its supreme military training and dominant naval power, the British Empire seemed almost certain to successfully quench the revolutionary flame. Yet still the Americans persisted. Fighting for their families, their homes, their civilization, and their very lives, they slowly turned the tide of the war in their favor, starting at the Battle of Saratoga Springs, 1777. They valiantly pushed their oppressors out of Philadelphia, out of Yorktown, out of New York, until they had finally earned their freedom in 1783. The war was won. Though such a prize does not come without a cost. Their cities lay in ruin, their fragile government lacked unity, and 5,000 men had paid the ultimate price. But they had won. The American victory stood as a symbol of freedom for the peoples of the world. Lady Liberty's torch would burn for generations to come. And if any young patriot were to ever feel as if they were hopeless in the face of tyranny and defeat, they could take courage in knowing they stand alongside the soldiers of the revolution.
Tell the story of a nation here as one. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. How freedom was our battle and how freedom has been won. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. And show to those who doubted that we could win the fight, and tell that justice matters to the red, the blue, and white. And they could not lay down their guns when justice was their right. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. Go out and tell their stories to their daughters and their wives. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. How in the heat of battle they bravely gave their lives. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. Proclaim it to your families, to your brothers and your friends. Teach every child to raise his voice, and then, my brothers, then will freedom be enacted by 5,000 righteous men. Make them